Hello and welcome to another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Monti, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. This man next to me is the vice mayor, occasionally known as your thunderstick, Jesse Friedman. Jesse, I know that we talked in our headline a bit about what we're going to talk about here in the beginning, and I know you're going to immediately refute what I said there in the headline, but
I am.
The Diamondbacks did miss out on the team Gold Glove Award. They missed out on it to the Milwaukee Brewers, who did have a very good season defensively. However, you could argue that this was one of the best defensive years in Diamondbacks history. They set a franchise record for errors, and of course, you know, that's a good thing. Not everything, though, the defense is based on. Obviously, outs above average and defensive runs saved are very important metrics that we talk about all the time on this show. But still, it seemed like the Diamondbacks definitely were one of the best defensive teams in baseball, and they did have some good numbers in those other categories as well.
They did, yeah. This was an excellent season for the Diamondbacks defensively. I don't want to make it sound like it wasn't. Right. Defense was a big reason why the Diamondbacks were as good as they were this year. And yeah, I mean, the Diamondbacks don't make the playoffs if they aren't a well above average defensive team. That was a really big part of the identity of this team and what made it so good. I don't know if I would say this was the best season that the Diamondbacks have ever had defensively. From an errors perspective, it is. If you look at those other nerd stats, defensive runs saved and outs above average, the D-backs in 2018 had 123 defensive runs saved.
That was a good team,
which is wild. This year they had 46, which is still a very good number. Yep. It's actually only the seventh highest number of defensive runs saved that they've ever had in a season. Outs above average has only been a thing for a few years, so there's not as much data there. They had 31 this year. They did have 44 last year, actually.
So that's like their second best year.
Yeah, so I think second best since since that started.
Not a stat they've been keeping for very long. But
right.
The Milwaukee Brewers, and something that Damon brought up to me in regards to this, you got Craig Counsell now as kind of like emerging as a leader for the manager of the year for National League somehow. I don't know.
He no longer manages the Brewers.
He does not manage the Brewers, but the Brewers, and the Brewers win this award for the National League, and it's like they just kind of quietly were a good team. Like when you talk about their numbers this season, and you talk about especially Counsell's tenure there as manager, you just kind of expected the Brewers to make the playoffs, which they did a lot, and they just kind of were always a good team.
Yeah, I remember writing my preview of the Diamondbacks Brewers series and the Wild Card series, and I went offense and pitching, and compared bullpens, compared starting rotations, and all that. And when I got to defense, I was kind of surprised to see that the Milwaukee Brewers actually graded out better than the Diamondbacks defensively, according to some of the stats we were talking about earlier. Milwaukee Brewers had 68 defensive runs saved this year. They had 41 outs above average. Both of those were higher than the D-backs numbers. And yeah, like these numbers aren't everything. I don't want to make it sound like these numbers are perfect. We've talked some on this show about how defensive metrics are still kind of in their earlier stages, and I'm still a little skeptical of some of what they say. Gabriel made a good point in the chat earlier about the errors. Yeah, there were. I don't know what's going on, but there are, especially this season, it seemed there were way more plays that were counted hits that it felt like previously would have been counted errors. I think that has a pretty big part to play as well in the fact that the Diamondbacks had fewer errors.
Yeah, because it wasn't like they were it was like 26 less errors or something ridiculous like that as far as the next closest season. So you're definitely onto something with there. They say it's the changes of the rules, and they say it's all of this other stuff. But the errors in general are very arbitrary. That's definitely a human being deciding on what is and isn't an error. And like we've said in the past, a lot of times if you are gifted athletically, you're almost going to be like counted for errors more than someone that isn't, because you're going to be in the vicinity of the ball more often than somebody who doesn't have the range to make great plays or whatever. But
so yeah, all that to say, like, I think the Brewers kind of should have won the award, and they did, and that's that.
And I completely disagree.
I think that, the D-backs were great defensively. They're probably second in the National League behind the Brewers. But based on the numbers, which again, numbers are sort of flawed, but based on the numbers, it's pretty hard to make a case for the Diamondbacks over the Brewers and the team Gold Glove Award. That's what this whole thing is about.
Piece of Yoshi was cursing in the chat. Now he's asking where the swear jar is. Is that for yourself? I think that's what's going on there. You can contribute all you want. We'll make sure it gets in that jar. I threw the jar away. No, it still exists. Don't worry. We'll have it back here soon. But one ongoing issue that we've talked about as far as free agency or trades that the Diamondbacks might make this offseason is, once again, in regard to their problem at third base, or their lack of, any viable starter there that they could proceed forward with. We've continued to look at some candidates, and now we have a guy that we actually already were going to talk about who is being linked to the Diamondbacks potentially.
Yeah, Jon Heyman, I think this was Thursday of last week, I want to say. Jon Heyman wrote a column over at the New York Post and did mention the Diamondbacks as one of the teams that have been interested in Jeimer Candelario, third baseman that, yes, we were absolutely going to talk about anyway. The fit here is pretty clear.
Yeah.
He had a good season last year. He had 22 homers, 70 RBI. If we can pull up Candelario's numbers for the season, they're like pretty solid across the board. An 807 OPS and 576 plate appearances. Yeah. Of course, started the year in Detroit, was traded to the Chicago Cubs at the trade deadline, and very instantly made like a pretty rad impression with the Cubs. Like, significant he was absolutely raking for like the first few weeks after that trade was made. Kind of slowed down. I think spent some time on the injured list toward the end of the year. But yeah, the fit here is clear. The D-backs need a third baseman. Candelario is a switch hitter. And yeah, the not significant splits. He can hit righties. He can hit lefties. He can do a lot of things that the Diamondbacks need someone to be able to do.
Yes. Why is he a better fit than Matt Chapman besides just the potential price tag?
It's really all the price tag.
It is all the price tag.
It's pretty much all the price tag.
Well, his versatility is there. His defense might not be as solid. He had -5 defensive runs saved, 2 outs above average over there. But again, he did play 115 games at third base, and the Diamondbacks need somebody that has that combination of offense and being able to start there at third base. And like, you're right, though. The price tag, according to a couple of different sources, it varies quite a bit, but it might be significantly cheaper than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and real quick, I definitely said that Candelario was traded from the Tigers to the Cubs when it was definitely the Washington Nationals and not the Cubs. So my mistake there.
All your credibility is just gone.
All of my credibility is gone instantly. He was with the Tigers for quite some time. Cut me some slack. But yeah, in terms of the price tag, this is hilarious because apparently no one has any idea what Jeimer Candelario is going to actually get, because according to MLB Trade Rumors, they have Jeimer Candelario signing for 4 years and $70 million. And Jim Bowden over at The Athletic, in his story, where he made a bunch of predictions about the size of various free agent contracts, he had Candelario signing for 2 years and $15 million.
That's quite a difference.
That's a pretty enormous difference.
Trade Rumors would be over $15 million per year on a 4-year deal, worth $70 million, according to my math. And that's much significantly different. And hopefully that could be the case for the Diamondbacks, because if they were able to get somebody of that caliber that fits this team that well, 2 years and $15 million, that, even maybe offering an option for a third year, either a team option or a player option, like that just seems to be exactly what the Diamondbacks are looking for. As far even the 4-year deal fits, right, more than probably what Matt Chapman's going to seek out, because I imagine he's going to want a longer term deal as well.
Yeah, Chapman could be. I think we talked about The Athletic had 6 and 150. I think that might have been MLB Trade Rumors at 6 years, 150 million. Of course, nobody really knows at this point, but I think that's a pretty reasonable guess for Matt Chapman being kind of far and away the front runner at third base. And a lot of that has to do with what he gives you defensively. Candelario is not the defender at third base that Matt Chapman is. Chapman is a elite defender at third base. Candelario is basically a league average defender. Candelario had, I guess, slightly better numbers offensively in 2023. So you might be getting a better hitter if you sign Jeimer Candelario. But there's no question, like overall, Matt Chapman is the more valuable player because of what he gives you defensively.
Piece of Yoshi has once again fired you, I believe. He said, "Get him out of here."
Piece of Yoshi fires me pretty much on the daily.
I mean, he fires all of it. I tried to fire him. I tried to get ahead of it and fire him proactively earlier. But Candelario is about to turn 30. Which, I mean, again, a 4-year deal, not the worst thing to keep him under contract, even if that's the route they go.
I have a hard time seeing the D-backs go to 4 years and $70 million.
I do too. I was just thinking more of the length of the term and not necessarily the $70 million. And yeah, you're right about that. But his baseball savant page is not great.
No,
not great.
It's not. It's really not all that inspiring.
Take a look at that.
Yeah, an expected batting average of 233 this year, even though he hit about 270. Slugging percentage expected slugging percentage of 405 compared to his actual of 471. So yeah, there's some considerable evidence here. I mean, these pages aren't everything, but there's considerable evidence that if you're going into 2024 expecting Candelario to slug 470 and hit like 25 bombs, I don't know if that's a safe assumption. I think he might be. He might be more of like a league average, a little above league average type of a hitter moving forward. And that's why I don't see the Diamondbacks going to, 4 years and $70 million for a guy who the underlying metrics sort of tell a little bit of a precarious story about what could be in his future.
Well, if you're uninspired by his baseball savant page, can I offer you a Gio Urshela, perhaps? Because if you want to talk about underwhelming potential options there at third base, I do know that, again, we're not looking like the Diamondbacks don't necessarily need to have a superstar over there, but they do need to have somebody that can play regularly. They need to stop this kind of third base carousel. Maybe somebody that, can put up some decent offensive numbers, and Urshela has proven that he can do that. However, that's inconsistent, and his defense is definitely inconsistent. So, but I mean, again, I think he might be that kind of potential target for Mike Hazen due to the fact that maybe he sees something there that they can work with, like Mike Hazen has seen in other guys, right? Where it's going to kind of not be the biggest move. It's not going to rock the baseball world, but it's going to bring somebody in here that can potentially get on base quite a bit. I mean, at least he was a decent hitter last year. He just didn't hit for power and didn't do the other stuff. Right?
If we look at Urshela's numbers for the season, they're it's okay, right? Like a 299 batting average. That's certainly pretty compelling.
But then you look at his slugging and his on-base percentage, and you're like, oh, kind of like all he did was kind of like hit. Like which isn't terrible, but he just hit singles. Yeah, he just got on base through hits, which again, not a terrible thing for a team that was very inconsistent with that at times last year, right? I mean, at least getting guys on base, maybe getting those hits when runners are in scoring position.
This feels very Emmanuel Rivera. Looking at these stats.
And that's kind of what
Emmanuel Rivera at home.
Yeah, we already have Emmanuel. Why are we stopping for Emmanuel Rivera at the drive-thru when we have Emmanuel Rivera at home? That's a great point.
That's ultimately what this comes down to. The D-backs aren't. It wouldn't make sense to sign someone who you project to be basically the same player that Emmanuel Rivera would already be for you, right? And I think Rivera is probably a better third baseman defensively than Gio Urshela is. So yeah, I don't know if I really see it with Urshela. I think it goes back to what you said earlier of, do the D-backs see some adjustments that could be made here? Do they see some reasons why he could get back to the hitter he's been at times in the past? Like in 2020, Gio Urshela for the Yankees, I know it was only 43 games. He had an 858 OPS.
Yeah.
He's been a pretty good hitter in the past, but he really wasn't that guy at all last year. And granted, it was only 62 games, 228 plate appearances with the Angels last year. Sure. But yeah, Rivera and him on paper look pretty dang similar moving forward.
His ability to play first base. I mean, he did play a couple of games at short. He's played 9 games at shortstop.
Yeah, he can play a little shortstop, but you probably don't really want him to play a whole lot of shortstop.
No, you do not. And I'm sure those were just occasions where it was, the situation, especially with that Angels team. But Diamondbacks still have some, options out there. It's just not many. And when we talk about Candelario, I think that potentially the Matt Chapman deal could impact how much he gets when you talk about those two quite different amounts. 2 years, $15 million seems reasonable. Even 2 years, like $20 million. But 4 years, $70 million.
If the D-backs could sign Candelario for 2 years and $15 million, they would have done it would have done it the instant that free agency opened, I'm pretty sure. So
I'm going to split the difference here. What? Not necessarily. Okay. What about a 4-year?
Okay.
$50 million deal.
4 and 50.
4 and 50.
The average annual value there is pretty reasonable. I mean, that's like $12.5 million a year.
And then that secures his future for the next 4 years, which is, I'm sure, something he's looking for after all, like the ups and downs he's had. So, I mean, who knows? We'll see. But again, that market is going to be dictated because of how small it is strongly by the deal that Matt Chapman gets. So we will continue to pay very close attention to how everything works out there in free agency, especially with the third base market. But of course, we implore you guys to check out our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. They will take care of all of your financial needs. I don't know, maybe you'll get 4 years, $50 million, but for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions to you, the customer, that most importantly best suit your interests. That's something that you need to make sure you find when it comes to a financial team. The Desert Financial team are financial experts who are committed to their members and their community and offer you the best products, again, for whatever you're looking for. I got my first home mortgage through Desert Financial, and I'm very proud to still, be a homeowner to this day. And I'm very proud of the journey they got me on because they helped me make that a reality. So
I'm still upset at how much you paid for your house.
Oh, I know. And I mean, you're going to be more upset about my interest rate, but
I don't want to talk about that at all.
But when you open a free checking account online, you'll get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. Thank you guys, of course, for being here right now on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our shows go live. Drop us a like. We always appreciate that. And of course, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, we always appreciate those 5-star reviews, as well as, of course, subscribing there as well.
We've gotten some lovely reviews recently.
We have.
Shout out to everyone who's left a review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. We have like 130 something ratings now. Very much appreciate everyone that takes the time to do that.
Absolutely. Also, we were talking about all of our bets, including our future bets that we're waiting to hear the results of. One of those coming this afternoon that, of course, all Arizona Diamondbacks fans should be interested in. That's the Rookie of the Year. But if you placed your futures bets, make sure to cash in on those when those awards are announced over at the BetMGM Sportsbook. Of course, if you're a new customer, you can place your first bet sportsbook wager through their mobile application of at least $10. And if you do, using our code of PHNX, you will receive $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. All you have to do is download the app on iOS or Android or visit their website at betmgm.com. Sign up using our code of PHNX, deposit at least $10 into your newly created account, and then just place a wager in that amount or more at a standard odds price. Once you have placed a qualifying bet, you will receive $200 instantly in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. And of course, make sure to use that app better than I did, especially football, college basketball, all back. There's plenty of options, some great parlay options. Make sure to check out Damon on the PHNX Bet Show. He'll be sure to guide you as well. But again, sign up for the BetMGM app. Use our bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through this mobile application of at least $10. You will receive those $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Ontario. I remembered this.
We nailed it that time. Of course, we were talking a bit there in the chat about free agency. Piece of Yoshi says, "I can't believe we released Tyler Gilbert." We absolutely did do that. We will have more on that as well coming up here this week. Connor Mormon says, "Hours away from cashing that plus 500 Corbin Carroll Rookie of the Year." You're damn right.
Do you think it's going to be unanimous?
I don't.
You don't.
I don't. I fear that it's
Senga
not going to
be.
Couple.
Senga?
Yeah. I
New
agree.
York
Yeah.
media.
I wouldn't be surprised if Senga did. I also wouldn't be surprised if Corbin Carroll won it unanimously. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about
You're right.
that.
Like the only thing that would be truly shocking is if Corbin Carroll doesn't win it. That would be jaw dropping.
Oh, that would be.
It would.
I don't know how I would react.
It probably wouldn't be good though. It probably wouldn't be good.
Nothing would make me more angry.
If Corbin Carroll does not win the Rookie of the Year award, I think we're gonna have to do an emergency podcast.
Yeah.
Which would be around 4 p.m. local time.
Yeah, because the award is supposed to be announced at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight, right?
Or I think it's 6 p.m.
6 p.m.?
Because,
oh yeah, I forgot about the time
whole,
change.
Yeah,
that's
whole
right,
daylight savings
that's
thing.
Right. Yeah, I don't acknowledge that. I don't acknowledge that at all.
But we're gonna do an emergency podcast if that happens. We're gonna be live for about 7 hours because that's how long it's gonna take for Damon to like fully get out all of his frustration.
I mean, Damon won't be the producer on that episode. There's no way that he'll be able to work. Damon will be shirtless.
I'll be in the back of a police car.
Yeah.
Handcuffed.
Yeah. Like it's just cut to Damon with like war paint on, shirtless, part of his hair singed somehow with fire. And yeah, just handcuffed and arrested for his behavior. But of course, that's then. That's later. We'll deal with that later.
That is not going to happen.
Now is Monday. And you know what we do on Monday. Of course, every year is the year of the snake around here. That's how we do things. Every year is the year of the snake. Every month is Pride Month on this show. Every week is Shark Week. Every day is Earth Day. But on Monday, we go to the mailbag. Damon, let's go.
My mailbox, always something interesting in my mailbox. I try to get to everything in my mailbox, and then once in a while there's a letter that makes me go wow, my mailbox.
Oh, we're taking all Phoenix Rising questions today too, by the way, because the Phoenix Rising are your USL champions, baby. I had to get that out. That's why.
You mean Phoenix Rising are your USL? You're not allowed to put the word "the" before Phoenix Rising.
Did I say the Phoenix
you
Rising?
You said the Phoenix. Yeah, you
and
said the
no-no.
Phoenix Rising.
I will say the Phoenix Rising.
They get mad at that.
They get really
I will
mad
say
at that.
the Phoenix Rising, but you can fight me later. We are champions. And so right now, I don't care what anybody says. Can we get to the first question, please, Damon? It's from our guy, Michael. And Michael wants to know this totally rational question that we are absolutely going to be able to give you facts and answer for you. Michael Rokicki asked, if Corbin Carroll had 10 stolen base attempts at second against Gabby Moreno, how many times do you think Gabby throws him out? This is like a math word problem. Like
where there's not nearly enough information provided.
If a train is traveling westbound at 75 miles per hour, how long will they take to get to California? No,
but that's like actually a reasonable question where all of the data is provided.
I know. This one is not. But
I guess we need to know where in California you were headed.
Well, no, you know where he's headed. He's heading from first base to second base, Jesse. Gabby knows where he's headed.
Situation. I was talking about the California thing.
Yeah. Ernesto wants to throw another variable in there. Ernesto asks who's pitching.
Yeah. Well, but that's exactly what my first question would be, because in the playoffs, we saw JT Realmuto behind the plate. And Corbin Carroll in games 1 through 5 of that NLCS against the Phillies, he wasn't running. And we talked about this at length on the show. We talked about it almost entirely. I was so tired of talking about why Corbin Carroll wasn't stealing bases.
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, we talked to him about it in the clubhouse time and time again. And his answer was basically that the math just didn't work out in his favor. That's the way that the Diamondbacks view this. The Diamondbacks are very cognizant of, they want to be aggressive on the base paths, but they want to make sure that they're safe. They want to make sure that there's a good chance that they're not going to just run into a needless out on the bases. There's a lot of negative value in running into an out on the bases, even as valuable as a stolen base can be. So the reason that happened, though, JT Realmuto does have the fastest pop time in baseball, faster than Gabby Moreno by 9/100ths of a second, I believe. But at the same time, what was really happening there is some of the Phillies starting pitchers had made some adjustments in order to be really quick to the plate. And that ultimately was why Corbin Carroll wasn't comfortable stealing in those moments. So all of this to say, I need to know who's pitching, I guess. And are they doing some kind of fancy slide step or something like what Aaron Nola was doing in the NLCS? Or are they just kind of doing what they normally would do? I don't really have a concrete answer to this question, to be perfect. It's really fun to think about, but I don't really know how to answer it.
The answer is 4. That's it.
The answer is
That's the
4?
answer.
Okay.
It's 4. It's 4 stolen bases out of 10. That's how many Carroll gets. Next question. See, it's not that hard, Jesse. Let's go. What do we got? Scott the Human asks, and that's at Scooter2319 on Twitter, what are the chances of re-signing Gurriel? I would say, based on his Instagram post, 0% of chance of re-signing him. Well, honestly, I think here the point that I've made over and over and over again about this is simply that I don't feel like it makes sense for the team or for Gurriel for him to stay here.
So it's definitely going to happen then.
It
clearly.
absolutely has to happen, clearly. No, but I just mean that, right? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand that the Diamondbacks love Gurriel and they very much are aware of the impact he had on this team. Defensively, offensively, his character in the clubhouse, his interactions with fans, how much fans embraced him, everything about him. Like, there's some downside to Gurriel, right? He's a very streaky hitter. His defense is kind of a bit overrated in the numbers versus what we've actually seen out of him at times.
I thought it was pretty good.
It was still pretty good. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm trying not. But I'm just saying, as far as Gurriel, like extending him to a longer term deal, I think the Diamondbacks very much know what they have in him, and they know what they would pay him. But I think that there is another team that is going to pay him double almost of that amount that the Diamondbacks are willing to pay him. And I don't think that it's smart for them to necessarily then put that much of their finances into Gurriel when there is an opportunity here for them to potentially upgrade from what he had to offer this team. And I mean, not nearly pay as much as he could get. It's just, it feels like one of those situations where he's going to get that payday that he, kind of earned this season, and his production after that might not live up to whatever that team pays him.
I don't know if the D-backs are going to be able to upgrade over Gurriel. I mean, I think there may be some situations where that could happen, probably via trade. But yeah, like he is going to get a pretty decent chunk of change, I think, this winter. And, like we've said before, when we've talked about this topic, like Gurriel only made $5.6 million, I think it was, this year. Yeah. At that number, he's a tremendous value on this baseball team. Yep, but once you get into, I think trade rumors at 4 and 56 or something like that. I don't know if I see the D-backs being willing to do that. I still think they need a corner outfielder who bats right-handed. You don't want to go into a season where every single outfielder you have bats left-handed. I still think you want someone who can hit a little bit, that can play that position. But I don't know if I don't really see Lourdes being the guy.
Yeah. All right. What else we got, Damon? Jacob Schultz asks, if you had to pick 2 guys from last year's roster to play threes at the local YMCA with, who would it be? Why is it Dre Jameson and Rake McCarthy? I am not going in that direction at all. I imagine, just to clarify, we're talking about playing 3-on-3 here, basketball, right? Right.
That's what we're going with. You are one of the 3 players, and you're picking 2.
And I'm picking 2. I'm taking Miguel Castro and I'm taking Luis Frias for obvious reasons here, right? Like, we don't need to. I'm taking the guys that are almost 7 feet tall, and I'm just going to dish to them all day long. I'm going to be an incredible distributor of the ball, and that's what's going to happen.
Frias is only 6'3". Frias isn't that tall. Castro is 6'7".
He's got a big body.
That's fair.
Down in the down.
Yeah, Frias.
Actually, that's wild to think that Kevin Ginkel is taller than Luis Frias. I would like to see those 2 gentlemen back to back.
I'm going Ryan Thompson.
T-time?
Because he's 6'8".
Okay.
And Geraldo Perdomo because he's dating Sophie Cunningham.
That's such a brilliant selection.
And they're working
for
on
that
their
reason alone. Yeah. Perdomo's got to be at the top of his game.
When he's out there, date night is spent in the gym.
Yeah.
Shooting shots.
Oh yeah.
Did you say Ryan Thompson is 6'8"?
Isn't he like freakishly tall?
He's 6'5".
6'5".
There's just so much blasphemy as far as like how tall people are right now on this podcast.
This is ridiculous. What are you taking? Are you just looking at height now? You got the heights in front of you.
No, so I would take Zach Gallen. Actually,
that's a terrible.
The Diamondbacks Diamondbacks several years ago made a video that was like a 3-point shooting contest thing.
Oh, and Gallen was just drilling
Zach
it?
Gallen was in there, and so was Luke Weaver. And Zach Gallen, the man can stroke it from beyond the arc. Like, the man has a pretty decent 3-point shot.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I don't just want to, I don't want to just like back you down in the post, and that's the only tool in the tool belt. Like I want to have a little bit of diversity on my team.
How are you going to defend the Perdomo Ryan Thompson pick and roll, Jesse? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to
paint
actually
swatting
see
you
them
is what
pick
I
up a
want.
basketball.
Good
The
luck.
other person that I would have on my team is obviously Corbin Carroll. Because Corbin Carroll,
terrible choice.
Corbin Carroll
Jesse
will
seems
run circles. He will run circles around whatever guys you have, like just standing, like they're not going to be able to guard him, right?
Yeah,
and Corbin
that's
Carroll
fair.
is a freak athlete who I'm sure, although I've never seen him play basketball, I'm sure he can probably has a decent shot and whatnot too.
Yeah.
So yeah, me, Zach Gallen, Corbin Carroll.
Last place.
Pretty formidable trio.
Gabriel Ferreira says, also the answer is Seawald. He has that old head baller at the YMCA type build. He really does.
I did consider Paul
Seawald is just straight up that guy that's like you're like, oh, what is this older white gentleman doing playing on this court? And he absolutely would fucking run everything. He would be that guy that had the experience we didn't know he had. Also, he has big dad energy. So we've already talked about Seawald's entire big dad energy thing. You know he's going to be the guy out there. See, Jesse, they're pointing out you went with a short guy.
Corbin Carroll is not 5'6". How does no one know how tall any of these players are? Corbin Carroll might not be 5'10" as he's listed. I will grant you that, but he's taller than 5'6".
He's definitely like 5'8".
Yeah, he's probably like 5'8". And again, yeah, it's all about his speed. Yeah. I don't care if you're way taller than Corbin Carroll. He's just going to dribble right past you and fake you out and do all sorts of things that you're going to have no answer for. And we're just going to absolutely demolish you. Me, Zach, and Corbin.
Castro just stands there and swats him.
Towers
over him. What else we got?
See it.
Kevin Lundberg. Next question comes from Kevin Lundberg. Kevin says, outside the likely work of the HVAC, roof, and lighting, what is the top of your list for Chase Field improvements next season? Jesse.
So I have one that's completely unrealistic.
Let's go.
But I feel like we've talked a little bit about various improvements at the ballpark before.
We've talked extensively.
So I've already given some of the more realistic things. But something I noticed yesterday watching the Cardinals game, which I feel like I maybe knew in the back of my head already, but had never actually put words to, is that the roof at, what do they call it these days? Is it still University of Phoenix State Farm Stadium?
Yeah.
I don't know what the building is called.
State Farm Stadium.
Yeah. The roof you can is clear. It's transparent, I guess would be the word. And so it sort of acts as like a skylight. It allows a lot of natural light to get into that building. And I feel like that would make a world of difference at Chase Field. If the roof, because obviously you're going to have the roof closed a substantial portion of the season. But if you're able to get some natural light in that way, I think that would make a huge difference. So granted, that would be probably an extremely expensive change to make. They would have to just be putting a new roof on the building, I guess, that's made of a completely different material. But I noticed that yesterday, and I feel like that would add a lot. And in those summer months when it feels a little dark in there, I think it would really be a game changer.
I think I said this before. I want better screens and such in there, better ways to see the scoreboard. I know at one point when they installed that scoreboard, television, it was gigantic when they upgraded that screen, but now it's been beat to shit. And by comparison to a lot of other stadiums, the technology even kind of looks old. And some of that stuff.
Upgrading the center field scoreboard.
The center field, in general area. And I think, again, I've talked about this before. I would love a digital clock. I would love the clock to be back up at the top, but have it be digital where you can just have that clock face on it. You can do
that way I can read it in less than 2 minutes.
Right. Yeah. Jesse needs it to actually flash that it's 7:03 up there and stuff like that. But no, that mixed with bring back the, have screens up there for the out of town scoreboards, make them look like the out of town scoreboards. Have, again, we do all this cool stuff with computers and apps and stuff where we make it look like a certain thing, make it look like the out of town scoreboards, and then have the functionality to be able to change it and say home run across it and things like that. Make the stadium more exciting. There's just a lot of revamping that I think needs to be done to bring it up to modern technology. And I don't think that the concrete building itself needs to change. I just think that there are improvements that need to be made, and they need to be made constantly. And bring back the goddamn cup holders for the seats. because that's infuriating.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Bring back the cup holders. I just don't.
Is that like everywhere in the ballpark? The cup holders are
No,
gone?
there's still cup holders in some places, but I noticed. I think somebody brought up the cup holders. Perhaps Damon, if you can
interesting.
scroll back up, I think someone else agreed with me on that, but maybe it was Chris. But yeah,
I just am not
holders,
like really in the
stands,
stands, so I don't know about that. But yeah,
he just big timed all of you. Did you hear that? I'm not really in the stands.
Yeah, that was such a flex.
That was such a flex. That was incredible. Okay. Well,
I'm just stating a simple fact that there are things that you know that I don't. That's all I'm trying to say there.
Well, you do know about Circle K's Inner Circle.
I do.
Right? You're a big fan of that. I am too. Make sure that if you have not checked out Circle K's Inner Circle membership program, you do so now. It's free. All you have to do is to join it is download the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. But if you do, you will get all sorts of wonderful benefits, including saving 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. You'll also get buy 5, get the 6th one free on a selection of Circle K products. You'll get 3 cents off per gallon for all the remaining fill-ups after your first 5, and all sorts of other wonderful things. Today, I got an email from them that they wanted me to choose my deal. Did I want something off of the roller, which is like hot dogs, taquitos, stuff like that, or did I want a free slice of pizza? If you
what an amazing email to get.
Yeah, right. It goes, what do you want? What do you want for free? We're just giving you stuff free. Not buy one, get one free, just free. So make sure to check out Circle K today. It's America's thirst stop. And do not sleep on their wonderful snack selections that are Circle K branded, because those are incredible. Another incredible place that you should check out, of course, is Empire Today. We love Empire Today. You've heard the jingle your entire life, pretty much. When it came to sports, and Empire Today keeps shopping for floors. Simple with a curated product selection. They just let you shop at home. That's the best thing that Empire Today does. They also service their own warranties, and they use professional installers, so you will make sure that the job gets done correctly the first time. But again, the biggest thing about flooring, deciding which flooring you want, deciding how much of your home you're going to floor, deciding what it's going to look like with your current decor, your current wall colors, all of that stuff. So they take the guesswork out of it with their virtual floor designer, which is a great way to see how the new floors will look in any room. And of course, again, like I said, you won't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number if you need to have your installation serviced, their warranty and serviced at all. Empire Today takes care of all of that. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when you use promo code PHNX. Restrictions do apply. See empiretoday.com/PHNX for details. All right. Well, yeah, Jesse, everybody's mad at you now, and everybody's beneath you. So
oh my gosh.
might as well turn on Jesse some more. Do we have some? Well, Bill, wait, hold on. Take a step back. Bill says we need better concessions too, and of course that means bringing Dutch Brothers back to Chase Field. What do I need to get Dutch Bros back? Just whatever it takes. Let's make that happen.
We've had this conversation. Dutch Bros is not like a ballpark item, right?
What do you mean?
There's a Black Rock though.
What do you mean? It's the same.
Yeah,
place.
I guess I just don't
it's
like
coffee
at a baseball
drinks?
game.
What do you mean?
Derek, I just want to say I make fun of my mom for saying Dutch Brothers because it sounds like you're just elderly.
I'm the oldest person
Yeah.
on the world. Yeah,
Dutch Brothers.
Dutch Brothers. Sorry, I apologize for that. Sometimes I try to hide my old ways, but they just come out sometimes. So, all right, what else we got? We got email.
Oh my God, this is what my dad
How
does.
old are you, Derek?
I am
We're having people emailing
old.
questions now.
All right.
We go snail mail next.
Yeah, that's fine. Charles Woodall Pike, a.k.a. Cactus on Ice, asks, the Rising won a championship by going through San Diego, a SoCal team, a NorCal team, and a team from the East Coast. So clearly the D-backs need to go through the Padres in the wild card round, Dodgers in the NLDS, Giants in the NLCS, and the Orioles in the World Series to win it all next year. We have to fight the entire NL West, well, except the Rockies because they don't matter. But
Wow.
No, I don't hate this idea. I like the idea of vanquishing your foes on the way to the World Series and then beating, the other young, exciting team there. But I don't know. I just want that ending. Whatever path it takes to get there. I just want the happy ending that these guys got last night, because what an ending.
Whatever, I still don't fully understand how soccer works.
Jeimer and I had to explain to Jesse how last night's game with the Rising would have equated over
I'm
to
still not convinced that Rising won because the final score was 1-1.
He doesn't understand what the little numbers down are. He doesn't understand the penalty.
Yeah, like in baseball, they put like the number of hits and errors on the scoreboard too. but that doesn't
Right.
like the team that wins scored the most runs.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's like if the Diamondbacks would have been losing 1-0 for the entire game pretty much. And then in the bottom of the ninth, with their last batter with 2 outs, they hit a solo home run that ties the game. Then tied game, end of innings, go to extra innings. Let's say we play 10, 11, maybe even 12, and the game remains scoreless. Now at this point, soccer kind of converts over to like a home run derby, if you would. So it would be like after the 12th inning, now we're going to see who can hit the most home runs out of 5 is kind of how it would be at that point, right? So it's like, that's my best way to kind of express to you how exciting last night's championship game was.
I think you just explained exactly what Major League Baseball needs to do.
Yes, I know. I've tried to tell you guys this for years.
That would be an electric regular season extras rule.
Yeah, you have to pick 5 batters to go out there against one pitch. Yeah, just one pitch to hit. No 3 strikes, no nothing. Just one pitch. And if you can hit it for a home run, then it counts. And it would also have been like, whoever they were opposing went up 2 home runs to 0. And then the Diamondbacks hit 3 home runs in a row and they did not to take it home. That's how the penalty kick situation worked. It was an exciting game. And I'm just trying to express to Jesse that he needs to watch a little bit of football. But that's all we got. Back to Cactus on Ice. Yes, let's do all of that. Let's beat the entire NL West and go to the World Series and win it. You're not going to get a no from either one of us on that one. Well, maybe from this guy. I don't know. What else we got? Aaron Hughes asks, who is your favorite non-D-back random player around the league?
I think I have objectively the correct answer to this question.
Okay.
This is not just my favorite random player. Like, this should be everyone's favorite random player.
It's Garrett Stubbs.
It is not. It is not.
I was like, David spit out his coffee.
Right when I was taking a sip of my coffee. It's the most absurd thing I've ever heard.
It is former Diamondback Wilmer Flores.
Yes.
Wilmer Flores in 2023. 284, 355, 509. That was a slash sign. 23 home runs. He had a 136 OPS plus. According to his WRC plus over at Fangraphs, if you go minimum 400 plate appearances in 2023, Wilmer Flores was the 15th best hitter in all of baseball. And he is Wilmer Flores, a guy that has sort of fallen off the radar of, I think, a lot of baseball fans.
My question is, why did you just use stats to determine who is your favorite baseball player? That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Clearly, Damon still hasn't figured out how my brain works.
Jesse was like, his underlying metrics are so good. He's my favorite non-Diamondback.
Oh, there's nothing underlying about any of that. That's just straight. That's 23 homers, man. Yeah. That's 23 balls in the seats when you're playing in one of the most pitcher-friendly ballparks in all of baseball. How old is Wilmer Flores now? 30, 34?
Yeah. And he's a former Diamondback. So, I mean, yeah, that tracks. Mine's Lars Nootbaar. And I don't need to give you any reason. It's just Lars Nootbaar. Like you said, Damon, it's just pure feel. I could have gone with a Mookie Betts because I like Mookie Betts very much. But I will go with a more, not a superstar player, right? More of your random kind of guy. I think Lars Nootbaar has that superstar potential, and obviously he had that great experience in the World Baseball Classic. But I like him a lot, and it's hard not to like him. And I still think he's a Star Wars character secretly deep down inside. It's a great name for a Star Wars.
It is a great name.
I like Ha-Seong Kim.
Yeah.
I had him on my list as well. But it's also very numbers based, so Damon's gonna just hate me for it. But yeah, Ha-Seong Kim is just super underrated, on a team that obviously has a lot of stardom.
Yeah.
Over in San Diego, you could argue that Ha-Seong Kim was their best player in 2023. Really remarkable stuff. Stole 38 bases, 17 home runs, 60 RBI. He had 4.4 wins above replacement on Fangraphs. I think it was up over 6 on Baseball Reference. Pretty dang impressive season from a guy that doesn't get nearly as much attention as a lot of the other guys on his team.
I saw a tweet there. Can you go back here a little bit, Damon? Our guy Matt.
A tweet?
Matt tweet. I'm broken today. I'm just absolutely broken today. A comment here in our chat from Matt Shodel. He said, "Hey y'all, my son's a huge fan. Can you say hi to I hope I'm getting this right. Jacovian. So, hello.
I feel like we're not getting that right, but that's about as.
No, but that's okay.
Jaquavian, and I also think he might be trolling us.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's also hilarious too. So either way, welcome. All right. What else we got, Damon? Brian Bobbitt says, this is a Derek question. This is at BB_Nitro. He says, with the "it's time for Paul Sewald to pitch" meme being a thing, should he add the Vader "it's time" to his entrance before Jump Around starts? I'm never going to say no to adding more pro wrestling to baseball. So the answer is yes. But the problem is that if I'm not mistaken, I do know that Vader's theme song starts out with saying, "It's time, it's time, it's Vader time." And that feels like more like a Josh Hader kind of thing, because if you're not listening directly, like, it might sound like his last name. I don't know. But yeah, I like it though. I know I'm probably going to do some sort of premiere video to make sure I try to get that in there in front of him or something. But I don't know. Of course, pro wrestling and baseball do go hand in hand. We all know that. So more of that. And especially considering nobody's going to understand that reference, because that's a pretty old wrestler right there. All right. What else we got? Ryan Hanley asks, what do you know about how we will be able to watch the National League wagon on TV? Will we need the MLB app for the season? Jesse, any thoughts on how we're going to watch it? We still don't really know, right?
We still don't really know. Yeah. That was a question that was sort of floating around a little bit at the GM meetings to GMs. Like, do you anticipate the TV situation affecting your payroll for this coming season? The Diamondbacks, of course, are a team that would potentially fall into that category. I wrote a little bit about that in the article that I published over the weekend. But yeah, in terms of the logistics of how the games are going to be broadcast, we don't know. And that's a once we know that, then we'll probably have a better idea of where things go from a revenue standpoint, whether the D-backs are able to actually recover all of the revenue that they would have made under their previous deal, or whether it seems to be the more likely situation of them taking a fairly significant cut on that front. If Major League Baseball comes back and does it again, I guess that would maybe be like the status quo, like what I would maybe expect before until we hear anything else. Then it'd probably be similar to what you got in the second half of the season, where you can buy a package from Major League Baseball directly if you're in market. It was $19.99 a month, right? And you can use that to watch all Diamondbacks games if you're here in town. Or, it was also available on a number of the various streaming services as well. So it should still be logistically pretty easy to find, I think, but we don't know exactly what it looks like yet.
And honestly, I think the big thing about it is that I don't know if the Diamondbacks should even expect to be able to get back what they were going to get.
Probably
right?
Not.
Because we know the Bally's deal was kind of, on the high end of things as far as what they were paying. It's the reason why it was such a good deal for the Diamondbacks. It really allowed them to kind of, increase their budget, which obviously the postseason run is going to have a great impact on the amount of money they have to spend. But the postseason run might make up for the shortcoming, but they might still end up being, having less money overall than they would have had if that deal would have been honored. So MLB last season was dedicating to paying 80% of what the Diamondbacks were going to receive. But again, we don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah, there was forward. I think Alden Gonzalez at ESPN, when the D-backs shifted over to their games being televised by Major League Baseball, he wrote in that story that 80% backstop was only for the 2023 season, did not extend into 2024. So if it is just Major League Baseball coming back, televising these games, as far as we know right now, it doesn't look like the D-backs could safely expect 80% of what they were receiving previously. So yeah, right now it's just sort of a waiting game. We're waiting for news on the stadium. We're waiting for news as far as the TV situation goes. There's kind of a lot that still has to happen over the course of this offseason.
But as it stands, you can still order MLB.TV for $19.99 per month, and you can still watch it the way that it was for the second half of the season. And there's been really no changes to that. So we'll see how things go. But we do appreciate you guys sending your questions. Of course, you guys are awesome as always. And especially if you're a diehard. If you are not a diehard, make sure to grab that diehard membership today over at gophnx.com. It'll get you a free shirt of your choice over at the phnxlocker.com, including all of our wonderful playoff shirts, all of our Diamondback shirts, and more. So check out. We are still a fucking dangerous team. So check out the shirt of a dangerous team over at the phnxlocker.com. You'll also get access to Jesse's newsletter. You will get discounts with our partners and so much more, including access to our members-only Discord lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan, because not only is it a great place to be part of the community, but we will also have exclusive content coming to the Discord lounge as well for all of you diehards. So stay tuned for that. Of course, you also have to check out Shady Rays, which is giving you guys the best deal of their season exclusively to our listeners. You can go to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. We've talked about Shady Rays quite a bit. They are the quality sunglass company that aren't going to cost you nearly as much as some of those other brands. And they do offer the most insane protection plan in all of eyewear, which I have absolutely already taken advantage of. They say every pair of their sunglasses is backed by their lost and broken replacement plan. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked, no guilt, none of that. They have your back long after you purchase. They also will allow you to exchange your Shady Rays for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. If you do not love your Shady Rays, there's absolutely no risk when you shop, whether it's online at shadyrays.com or at their location here in town at Kierland Commons. So make sure to check out our friends over there. And again, we thank you guys so much. We're so glad that we could have ruined Jesse's credibility with so many of you today based on some of his answers.
Hey, man, you're the one who's like calling comments in the chat, like tweets and emails. All right.
That's true. That's true. We both ruined our reputations here today.
Yeah.
So
good show.
It's a good show. It's top of the. By the way, we will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Jesse has some time off later this week, so we'll have some special guests joining us as well. But in the meantime, you can make sure to follow us on Twitter. That's still x.com. Am I old by saying? I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
Drop us a voicemail.
Drop us. There's a message board for you to go on and send me your thoughts. But
fax us your mailbag questions for next week.
I am at Derek. I'm not Derek. I'm at Cap_K-Man with a K. I am Derek Montia. This guy's at Jesse N. Friedman. They confuse me because they all use he uses their normal names with the middle initial thing. But Damon is the people's producer. He is at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. Of course, we are Damon's dogs.
Bark,
woof.
bark, bark.
Yeah, whatever. Cogs is absolutely the new beat reporter around here. So that's definitely something to keep track of.
Tough day for Cogs. He's the new beat reporter and he doesn't even show up day one.
Yeah, what's happening with that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And Connor says no one calls it X, Derek. Thanks, Connor. I appreciate that. I don't.
Yeah, that's that we can accept.
Yeah.
We can accept that.
All right. Well, I will not do that anymore. But of course, I don't know this stuff without you guys telling me. So I'm thankful for you guys being here. Of course, you can follow our show at PHNX_DBX, but all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Again, we'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. So make sure to join us. And until then, we appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when you finally acquire a third baseman for the Diamondbacks.
We all silly like the mayor.